Hi, my name is Clay Sagich, and today I will be talking to you guys about why high school, middle school start times should be pushed back to a minimum of 8:30 a.m. So, for starters, I know everybody in this class has been a high school student at one point or another and got on the bus at 7 a.m. and probably thought to themselves, there's no way I'd rather be sleeping right now. Which, of course, you haven't because the bus comes super early and everybody wants to still be asleep. So, as a former high school student, I feel that pain, and I still have siblings that are in the public school system, and as much as I might not get along with them, I would like them to have it better than I did at one point or another. So, first I'm going to elaborate why school start times need to be later, and then provide a way for anybody who feels as passionately about it as I do to get involved. So, many high school, middle schools, and then combined schools, which would be grades 8 through 12, start way too early in the morning. So according to the CDC, which is the Center for Disease Control, out of 39,000 schools they surveyed, the average start time was 8:03 a.m., and then 83% of those schools that they surveyed started before 8:30. So the reason that 8:30 is kind of like a special number or a benchmark in this argument is because the American Academy of Sleep Medicine cites a 2017 position statement made by them that says, teenagers typically struggle to fall asleep before 11 p.m. So, again, with the American Academy of Sleep Medicine, they also recommended in the very same position statement that teenagers typically need between 8 and 10 hours of sleep per 24 hours to promote what they call optimal health. So, the Center for Disease Control, building on that point, also states about 70% of high school students are sleeping less than 7 hours every night. So, 7 hours is obviously an hour below the minimum required threshold from the AASM, which is not a good thing. So with this 11 p.m. being what we're going to go with our little bit of a basis of when the typical teenager is going to fall asleep, and then 8 hours is our healthy minimum, so that's like the smallest amount that we can get in a 24-hour period for it to be a healthy amount of sleep, puts us at a 7 a.m. wake-up time. So the proposed 8:30 time allows for ample time to get ready and get a good breakfast before school, as well as the bus is having enough time to pick everybody up without it being a rush, and still get to school on time to do things like go to your locker maybe before class, or at least just not be late. So the breakfast is also an important part of this because the CDC says that eating a healthy breakfast is linked very heavily with improved cognitive function as well as improved mood and memory. So the mood point is also a very important point because a lot of people say that teenagers are moody and whatever you want to call it, but lack of sleep is actually linked to a lot of mental health issues. So a 2014 Danish research paper about the link between sleep and teenage health has cited that teens who sleep less than 8 hours a day, so there's that average of 7 hours that was pointed out earlier, have increased odds for feelings of just being sad or lonely, which obviously aren't good, but not that severe. And then teens who are sleeping less than 4 hours a night, which is way, way, way below the minimum threshold, are at an increased odd for suicide attempts. And that's for both genders, male and female, so that affects everybody. So the mental and physical toll that an early school start time, along with a late bedtime, really just takes a toll on kids. So delaying the start time to 8:30 as a benchmark could help alleviate a lot of these problems. So, and that delay would only be about half an hour in a lot of areas because that average start time was 8:03. So on average, that's going to be a 27-minute delay, which seems like an insignificant amount of time, and it would be a relatively cost-effective way to fix the problem. But I'm going to touch a little bit here on what some issues we could face is, which I think is important to look at the other side. So logistically speaking, you'd have to reroute a lot of buses and push other start times back or move other start times earlier, which can present a logistical nightmare for administrators. I do see that. And as much of a problem as that could be, there's also the issue of after-school athletics would have to be delayed, which I can see as a scheduling conflict for a lot of parents and maybe a lot of students too, as well as any students who have work after school. Work would either have to be delayed or cut off completely. And I understand that these issues are very important issues. I'm not going to deny that they're not an important issue. But I think the issue of teen mental health is going to be more important than those. But that is just my opinion. So with that being said, though, imagine how much healthier, happier, and more productive American students could become if they were getting their full 8 hours of sleep, increasing their cognitive functions, memory, recollection, stuff like that. So with all of that, the Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development has the United States ranked as 24th in the world in reading, 28th in science, and 36th in math overall, which, as the United States is defined as a hyperpower, those stats aren't very good. We should be top 10, top 5 for the amount of money we're spending on education and for how economically and technologically advanced we are as a country. So it is my feeling that with these types of changes to improve student mental health and by extension their aptitude, we could see those numbers rise in the future, and I think that's a very important change that needs to be made. So if you do in fact feel as strongly as I do, and I hope a lot of you do, which it's about the educational future of America, which more educated now, we'll get more educated voters, more educated adults, and it's a cycle, it's a good cycle. So if we improve the health of the youth now, that'll improve the generation after that, the generation after that, after that, etc. So in its most simple form, the way to fix this problem is literally a one-step fix. So all it is being educated on who you're voting for when it comes to your school board, or any other politician that might have a hand in educational reforms in your area, or even nationwide. So being more informed is part of it. So I guess we can call it a two-step. Being more informed about who you're voting for, what their positions are, stuff like that, and making education a really important part of what you look at in a candidate, aside from their views on social issues, economic policies, stuff like that. And on top of just being educated, voter efficacy, actually getting out and voting, and making sure that you're doing your part to make a difference, and being the change that you want to see in the world, which I know is a little bit cliche, but it's true. There's a lot of people who think they don't have a voice, and if a lot of people who don't think they have a voice put their voices together, we can make some really serious changes. So that's it. Thank you for listening. Have a good day.